Dragon Ball Z first aired in Japan, it actually broke viewership records because the story and central plot were revolutionary and highly original. Up until that said time, there had only been a few examples of a long animation series based off a manga, and fans relating to the characters of the said series and watching to see what would happen next with each passing episode. The Saiyajin Saga, which was the first arc in the series, featured all new characters and situations, in general for anime. It also had the first and most iconic encounter between Goku and Vegeta. Though the pair would fight multiple times throughout the series, it's actually been said that the first encounter is the most original and greatest to watch. The topic is interesting because there are multiple reasons for this claim of Goku and Vegeta being one of the greatest anime fights in history. Even in Japan, the original Dragon Ball Z animation, the entire series is highly respected, due to the complexity of everything mentioned and associated with it, but in particular the start of the series, the first few seasons, and exactly the first season, is held to an even higher degree of excellence because viewers saw and experienced everything for the first time. Special attacks, violence between character determination in the face of incredible odds against them, villains, plot twists, even character deaths, were all done for the first time so effectively during this arc, and the fight between Goku and Vegeta encapsulated all of this so well. It's also important to know that in terms of filler within the arc, there's not too much of it in this particular example, so everything is paced quickly and the action is in the moment. Your attention is constantly with the episodes and you are generally interested in what might happen next in terms of character interactions and plot development. In later arcs, the filler becomes more visible and viewership interests in the episodes can sometimes come and go due to the overemphasizing of the plot for each particular episode with filler. But with the fight between Goku and Vegeta, it was here and now, right then and there. Goku the hero versus Vegeta the threat that might actually be stronger than him, and it was perhaps the only true example in the entire series of Goku not being strong enough to overcome the threat with all of his techniques and all of his strength that he had, and everyone has to come together to assist him to help save their planet and their lives. In future arcs, this threat concept would return and repeat itself, but questionably, arguably, never come to the exact extent that it was shown and experienced for viewers during the Saiyajin Saga with Goku and Vegeta. In terms of viewership and ratings within Japan, Dragon Ball, the original series prior to Z, was actually a huge hit in Japan. Both the manga and the anime adaptation based off of it were so loved that when the Z episodes were first broadcasted and announced even, there were a lot of anticipation and examples of what might happen for Goku as an adult. Viewers were not disappointed with the story that Akira Toriyama had planned and wrote for the manga, as well as the faithful adaptation of his manga into the animation. It's actually a known fact that the viewership ratings for Z in Japan when originally broadcasted were extremely high, and maintained this level of high percentage and only began to drop slightly after the Freezer arc and remained high but not as high as the original seasons for the remainder of the original broadcast of the series. Another fact is that the first few seasons of Z were done right before computer animation replaced hand-drawn animation for the standard in relation to anime. The first episodes relating to Z in particular were conceived, developed, drawn, and made in the late 1980s, when the season exactly was broadcasted for the first time in Japan in mid-1989. So the quality of the fighting scenes, let alone each particular episode, were beautiful and showed the precise details of that animation studio putting into each episode, literally. What's sad is that even in Japan and within later seasons of Z, the audience watching the episodes of Dragon Ball Z complained and noticed that at some times drastic levels of differences in terms of animation quality from arc to arc, episode to episode, and even scene to scene. There were no real examples of uniform, standard animation from episode to episode as it was seen in the Saiyajin saga in the beginning of the series, even though some small examples of the Freezer arcs had cases of slight animation differences. These examples highlighted the fact that the Saiyajin saga, with the climax being the epic fight between Goku and Vegeta, being the highest point of the Z series. And many in Japan, as well as within Europe and America, have discussed that such a pinnacle of animation excellence in quality might never again be achieved due to the unique circumstances that the early seasons and episodes of Dragon Ball Z had, and one of the greatest fights to have ever been created in Japanimation history.